Wake up! Wake up, wake up, wake up!
Good morning, Vietnam!
Hello there.
What's happening?
I feel the need for speed. Ow! Warrior, come on to play!
Here's Johnny.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the regularly scheduled weekly Cinemateq live stream. It is 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, January 25th, 2023. Thank you very much for joining me. I'll be on here for a couple of hours, chatting with you, chatting about stuff, movie stuff for the most part. And we already have some people in the chat. Good to see you all here. Hello, Ella. Hello, Chokus. I hope I'm saying that right. I see you in the Discord. I see you're also a content creator. Hope that's going well for you. And hello to Dory. And to anyone else who's going to be watching this now or watching this later. As it so happens, this is a film channel. This is a film live stream. So naturally, we are going to try to center the conversation in this live stream around the Razzies. We've already talked so much about the Oscars, the nominations, the SAG Awards, the Oscar race, all of that stuff. We often forget about the Razzies because they're not really relevant, and it seems like they just keep shooting themselves in the foot over and over and over again. So we're going to be talking a little bit today about how they managed to keep doing that, and also just having general fun movie times. What's that tat, though? What, this one? This one? I forgot what hand is what. That's my Kodak edge code for the time that for the year I was born. Google Kodak edge code. You'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. So Eli's here, Max is here, Brent's here. What's up? Yeah. Now it's time for the real awards. The real awards. So the real awards. Wait, why hasn't anyone done that? The REAL awards? Real awards? Yo, that's kind of cool. Should I rebrand the Cinemateq Film Awards and just call them the Real Awards? The Roz? Yo, I'm a marketing genius. All right. TJ, I saw The Wonder with Florence Pugh Pew Pew. The movie was great, but what's up with the fourth wall break? Okay. Maybe I'll just hold on talking about the Razzies for a second because I think this is absolutely fascinating. I don't know if there's a good way for me to explain this to the people who haven't seen it. So let me see if I can find just like an image or whatever. Maybe this is a story that I can tell in images. So, I mean, sure. Okay. So The Wonder is a film starring Florence Pugh. You can see her right there, looking all great and awesome and stuff. I wonder if maybe there's some images made it into the IMDb gallery. So there's our lovely Florence, queen of the films, and her man Tom Burke in the film. Who we love Tom Burke here. He's a great. I don't even want to call him a character actor. He just keeps getting into all these great roles. That wall breakation gave me life. Yeah, I like how you call it breakation. I hope that wasn't a faux pas or anything like that. I'm just gonna see I want to see if they can show me just like a photo. Wow, look at all these different fucking names for it. That's kind of cool. Are they actually gonna show it or not? So this is the thing about the wall break in this, is that it bookends the film. So it's at both the beginning and the end of the film. And the way that it works, okay, we're back to the start, so it's not gonna show me this. I wonder if we can just do the Wonder fourth wall. Show me an image of that. Okay, so this kind of gives you an idea. So this is how the film starts, and this is obviously, and I hate the fact that I'm on Facebook right now, but hey, so this is how the film starts, and so it shows you the inside of the studio that you are that the film that you are about to watch is going to be shot in. This is the very first shot of the film. You can see right here. This is the farmhouse in the middle of Ireland, like the Ireland whatever. Not Highlands, not Lowlands, but just like a grassy part of Ireland. That's the upstairs where a good portion of the film takes place. And then we sort of pan across, we see, I believe this is probably the lower part of it, the lower part of that same house. And then you keep panning across, and then we keep panning and we get into the ship that Florence Pugh is on right now as she is sailing from England to Ireland. And so the end of the film is very similar to this as well. It restates, it re-shows you, it shows you again that that everything you just watched is in a studio, except not everything is in a studio, right? As you can see here, Florence Pugh in the background, she's got this whole greenery thing going on around her, because actually a lot of this film, like this is studio, that's shot in a studio, but this is real. Like, this isn't shot on a green screen. They do shoot parts of this film outdoors in Ireland. And so, and like, this is a very common thing when it comes to shooting of films, right? Like, when you see an interior space, usually that interior space is in a studio if you have the budget to have an interior studio space, because it's so much easier to control the light, control the sound. Like, a lot of stuff doesn't get let off, there's no chance involved, or at least less chance involved. And it usually means it's easier working conditions for all of the film workers and the actors and the actresses and basically everyone involved. Like, shooting inside a studio is just easier. And then obviously all of the exterior shots are going to be shot on location for the most part, right? So what this did for me, and I think if you watch the film, you'll see how it, like, thematically, I think, ties into what the film is going to be about. But this very clearly says to me that interior spaces are fabricated, that they are not real, that these things have been created for the sake of the film, and exterior spaces are places where it is real, where reality exists. And so I think that the movie, by starting this way, is intentionally creating tension between interior and exterior spaces. And as you're watching the film, it becomes kind of it's kind of a gothic film. It's not strictly speaking a gothic film, but it does toe that line of being a gothic film, and it certainly has a lot to do with religion and also ideas of truth. Those are very central themes to this film. And so I think by starting the film like this, it's creating tensions between that interior exterior space, but also sort of highlighting for you that even though this is a film about whether someone is telling the truth, that is essentially the investigation that is going on, the film is reminding you that the spaces that this investigation are happening in are fabricated, which I think is kind of fascinating. It doesn't make the movie good, it doesn't make the movie bad, but to me it does make it a little bit more interesting, that it's openly just putting this right in your face and telling you that. So yeah, I think it's cool. I think it's a cool thing to do. It's the kind of thing that is really only effective because it is very rarely done. If everyone did that, then it wouldn't stand out. It wouldn't be as interesting as it is, but hey, it's cool. I had the pleasure to attend a Q&A with Sebastian Leo after screening of The Wonder, and he explained a lot of it. Did I get it right? Because I'm mostly just like this is my own interpretation of it, what I'm telling you guys about it. But yeah, that's kind of how I read it, or at least why I think it's an interesting way to open a film personally. Okay. Also, thank you, Ella, for submitting your ballot for the Cinemateq Film Awards. The nomination ballot for the Cinemateq Film Awards, you can find a link for it in the description box below if you haven't already. Please let me know what you thought the best films of 2023 were, and then I'm going to put them all together, create a final ballot, and then we're all going to vote on that. And the winners of that will be announced at the Cinemateq Film Awards the day before the Oscars, March 11th, I believe. You have until February 8th to finish your Cinemateq ballot. So about 2 weeks from today, I think. Your 2001 poster behind you, original or reproduction? Oh, it is very much a reproduction. I do not have original movie poster money. Not yet, anyways. To answer your question on the stream, and thank you, Panda, for bringing me back to the point. No, the Razzies shouldn't exist. Well, what are the Razzies? What are they really? So, to quote Wikipedia, the Golden Raspberry Awards, also known as the Razzies, is a parody awards show honoring the worst of cinematic underachievements. Co-founded by UCLA film graduates and film industry veterans John J.B. Wilson and Mo Murphy, the Razzies' satirical annual ceremony has preceded its opposite, the Academy Awards, for 4 decades. The term raspberry is used in its irreverent sense as in blowing a raspberry. And then it goes on to talk a little bit more about what is up with the raspberries. But there you can see the statue, reportedly worth about $4.97 on the open market. Now, why are we talking about the Razzies? Because mostly these are a parody thing. No one cares about them. It's kind of just a fun laugh that we mostly have. I think Halle Berry, when she won the Razzie for Catwoman, actually showed up and like accepted the award and was like, "Hey, thanks. At least I won something for that piece of shit film." But the Razzies over the last couple of years have been getting some heat, getting some heat, and for valid reasons, I would say. So the most recent thing happened like today or yesterday. I think the one that kind of put them on the map, though, was on the 42nd Golden Raspberry Awards, which were handed out last year. And for those of you who remember this, and we'll just sort of go through their typical categories, which include Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Actor, Worst Actress, Worst Supporting Actress, Worst Supporting Actor, Worst Screen Combo, Worst Makeup, Worst Remake, Worst Screenplay, a Redeemer Award. And then you'll see here that there is one that is crossed out. And this was Worst Performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 movie. This is not by my knowledge, something that they do every single year. They do not do this. This was just a 2022, 2021 thing only. And in it, they nominated every Bruce Willis performance from that year. And later, I think fairly quickly, like right after this was announced, the nominations were announced, the Razzies had to eat shit because it was announced that Bruce Willis is suffering from a debilitating neurological disorder. And they apologized for it. And they had to cross out this. And there is actually, if you go down to their own release, talking about who the nominees for the 42nd Razzies are, they no longer include the Bruce Willis nomination here at all. And we can just read a little bit of their apology to get a bit more context here. We have made the decision to rescind the Razzie Award given to Bruce Willis due to his recently disclosed diagnosis. If someone's medical condition is a factor in their decision-making and or their performance, we acknowledge that it is not appropriate to give them a Razzie. As we recently mentioned in a Vulture interview, extenuating circumstances also apply to Shelley Duvall in The Shining. I guess they maybe did something with Shelley Duvall. I'm not really sure what. Maybe they gave her a Razzie because of something that happened after The Shining, because they do mention Stanley Kubrick's treatment of her throughout The Shining. So yeah, I kind of forget what that one is specifically referencing, but the one that kind of got everyone talking about the Razzies last year was Bruce Willis. And they were smart to rescind it. They did a good thing, but that wasn't the end of it. Oh, no. Because it's now It's now. It's now time for the 2023 Golden Raspberry Awards, the 43rd edition. And you had Worst Picture nominees like Blonde, Good Morning, which I don't even know what this is. Oh, it's a Machine Gun Kelly film. The King's Daughter, Morbius, and Pinocchio. Not GDT's Pinocchio, the other one. Well, not that other one, but the one with Tom Hanks. The one with Tom Hanks. And other films were nominated, like The Bubble for Worst Director. But mostly the films that were shit on the most here were Blonde, Morbius, Pinocchio, and I think Good Morning picked up a couple of other ones. Also, Jurassic World Dominion got shit on pretty much. Got shit on quite a bit. Now, that usually is all fun and games because these are big Hollywood studio films, and I think that for the most part they tend to not go after indie films because they, one would assume, have it hard enough as it is. So they tend to really just go after like the easy targets, right? Except you may notice that something else here is crossed out. The Razzies made another boo-boo. And that boo-boo, as it turned out, was nominating a 12-year-old child as Worst Actress. And as someone in the chat pointed out, they did the exact same thing to Jake Lloyd way back in the day for Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and he I guess, left acting because of it. Because he was getting bullied so much for being called a really bad actor, and the Razzies were a part of that. So one would think that maybe the Razzies would have learned their lesson oh so many years ago when they nominated a 10-year-old, and it turned out really poorly for that 10-year-old. And, as it so happens, they have had to issue another apology, although they haven't issued one on their website yet. Actually, is this person still listed under Worst Actress? I don't think so. So they've taken her off of the Worst Actress nomination part of the page, which just looks embarrassing, right? Like, it's now it's down to 4 people. They should nominate someone new just to make it look symmetrical with Worst Actor. Like, come on, there's got to be someone you could pick. Oh God, but as it so happens, they may not be apologizing on their main page, but they have issued an apology for nominating a 12-year-old as Worst Actress. So, let's just read this a bit. The Razzie Awards have introduced an age limit for nominations following blowback after 12-year-old Ryan Kira Armstrong, pictured above, was nominated for Worst Actress. In a statement, Razzie's founder John Wilson apologized and confirmed Armstrong's name has been removed from the ballot. He also said that going forward, under-18s would not be eligible to be nominated for the awards. There was strong criticism after the Razzies, which celebrate the worst performances of the year, nominated Armstrong for her performance in Firestarter, a film I admittedly did not see. The film, which also stars Zac Efron, bears the logline, "A young girl tries to understand how she mysteriously gained the power to set things on fire with her mind." I believe this is a Stephen King adaptation, I think. Efron was not nominated, although the film itself scored a nod for Worst Remake, Ripoff / Sequel. Among those criticizing the decision to nominate Armstrong was former child actor Devon Sawa, who reportedly tweeted, "The Razzies are run by soulless people nominating a 12-year-old. Fuck them. That child could grow to be amazing if you haven't gotten in their head." It appears Sawa has since deleted this tweet. And fellow child actor Julian Hillard, who has appeared in WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2, also lent Armstrong his support, writing, "The Razzies are already mean-spirited and classless, but to nominate a kid is just repulsive and wrong. Why put a kid at risk for increased bullying, or worse, be better?" And I think this really speaks to the real issue here, right? Because, you can really fuck up a 12-year-old by nominating them as the worst actor of the year, right? Like, you can really mess with their heads. We've all seen what happens to young actors when they get nominated for Best Actor or find success early in their life. And that even fucks them up. But, how much worse is it if now, the bullies that you have to go to school with can literally point to something on the internet and says, "Hey, look, everyone thinks you suck, and now I have proof." Like, that's incredibly stupid. Incredibly stupid. And so I think it does beg the question, like, what purpose does the Razzies serve these days? Because if you want to talk about how maybe they, in the past brought a kind of humility to the film industry, or at least were a kind of outlet for people to be mad and to lay blame at the feet of film studios not doing the right things when it came to certain properties. Catwoman comes to mind in that example. I don't really know if that kind of rhetoric, we need that anymore, right? Because the internet exists. And when the Razzies first started, the internet did not exist. So if you want to take out your frustrations on a particular film because you didn't like it, you just go to Letterboxd and give it a 5-star review, and then I eventually will turn that into my own content. Haha. So, what purpose do these serve anymore? I honestly don't know. But I'd be interested to know what you guys think about it. do you think the Razzies should still exist? And this is not, once again, a call, or I shouldn't say once again because I haven't mentioned this yet. This is not a call to cancel them. This is not a call to cancel the Razzies. I don't think we should at all like try to form like a posse and try to get rid of them. But like, what do they do? What do they do? Why are the Razzies? If Top Gun 2 and Avatar 2 got no chance to win Best Picture at the Oscars, then why have 10 Best Picture nominees? I think there is a case to be made that having 10 is good. Just outside of this, like, I think it's still important that, like, if a blockbuster film is good enough to get nominated, then having it be nominated at least has the potential of bringing in that larger audience. Like, you know, they may not be able to win, but there may be people out there who don't realize that's not the case. They may look at the box office and say, well, of course these two films are going to win or have a chance of winning, when really everyone's talking about like The Fabelmans or Everything Everywhere All at Once, etc. You know, the audience that showed up for those films, I think, are more likely to watch the Oscars if the films themselves are nominated. And you also have to think of this from like the other side of it, right? Back when we had 5 nominees in 2008, The Dark Knight didn't get nominated for Best Picture, even though you could very easily make an argument that it should have been nominated for Best Picture. Maybe back then, you know, comic book movies weren't seen as being like Oscar worthy, even though Heath Ledger was nominated and won for his category that year. But allowing space for those blockbuster movies to bring in a blockbuster movie occasionally or every year, I think is not a bad thing, especially from the Oscar perspective, where they're like, yo, we need people to watch this goddamn thing. Wow, spreading negativity is bad. Who could have seen that coming? Yeah, it's true. Today, everything is an offense. It's just not that it's an offense. It's that who it was directed at. That's the problem. In the first case with Bruce Willis, you know, they reacted after the fact that their nominations came out. The Bruce Willis story came out. Then they changed what happened, or then they took away or rescinded the Razzie. That was the right thing to do in that. But it just seems like if you are going to be that extremely petty, I just wonder like why you being petty, why you being that petty. And then like nominating a 12-year-old, as we just talked about, like nominating a minor is just stupid. It's just stupid. And the girl is really, really bad on it. What, in Firestarter? Hey, maybe she didn't do that great. You know, maybe it's her first time out. Maybe it's a bad director, right? Like one of the reasons why a lot of directors don't like working with children is that they aren't capable of directing children, right? And so her poor performance could just be due to inexperience or a bad director. That could just be it. And I don't think that a 12-year-old kid should be forced to wear that embarrassment their entire lives, especially when it's so fucking public. The whole energy of the Razzies is so antiquated and definitely doesn't fit this era. Now that edgy poking at low-hanging fruit is such a tired trend in art critique, yeah, I agree with that. Who cares if they act bad? To give someone a worst award is just mean-spirited. Yeah, and once again, like I honestly don't care about this as much. Like when they want to give, Blonde the Razzie for worst film of the year, that doesn't bother me. It doesn't, because it's a big Netflix film, costs a lot of money, everyone involved in it got paid. Ana de Armas is nominated for an Oscar. That to me is fine. I guess the thing that just bugs me about this now is that they haven't seemed to like gotten it through their heads, or maybe now that they have, that it's just like, hey, don't go after kids and don't go after people who could possibly be like really negatively affected by something like that, especially from such a young age. But I mean, it's not like kids and teens can be mean. Of course they can be mean. I see you putting the sarcasm there. It's a fun concept, but I think it's taken way too seriously by the Razzies themselves. I mean, that's interesting. You think that they are they're almost like the creators of South Park in that they feel like they have a moral obligation to speak truth to power or something like that. It was also a crime that they nominated Ben Affleck for Worst Supporting Actor for his perfectly fine performance in Last Duel, which was a box office flop, but that's not a terrible film. That's true. And I think that's one of the other things about the Razzies is that I think they have some actors like in their crosshairs like all the time. Excuse me, all the time. I'm not going to say that Jared Leto is like hasn't deserved to be put onto the list occasionally as putting in one of the worst performances, but like I think he is an actor that they go after. Ben Affleck, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I'm willing to bet that Ben Affleck like was nominated for a Razzie for Reindeer Games as an example, so that just might be another example of that. Where they don't actually care about the worst performance, they just want to talk shit about Ben Affleck, right? But this is actually a good question here. What purpose did the Oscars serve? What purpose did the Oscars serve ultimately? And ultimately, it's, in my mind, you know, not taking away the capitalist cynicism of it. The Oscars are meant to be a celebration, and that's awesome. You know, that's super cool. Celebrating the people who did the best work in film every year, I think, is a good thing. It allows us to come together as a community and celebrate the thing that we all love the most, which is movies. But obviously, the purposes that they serve now largely revolve around, hey, let's try to make as much money off these commercials as possible. Tom wants to keep the Razzies. That's fine. Good point about the historical narrative here. Razzies have just been replaced by YouTube rants and reviews. Yeah. It's not really something that people... Yeah, it just seems antiquated. It seems so antiquated. They're part of the equilibrium, but yeah, don't nominate kids. Fair. Tradition overrides a logic in so many minds. It's why daylight savings are still a thing, even though there's literally no point to having it. True. Oscars could have added RRR to Best Picture, and 1.5 billion will tune into the show. I mean, we can't get too much into the idea that the Oscars vote as a block in order to get ratings, but I think that the purpose of increasing the Best Picture to 10 and have it be 10 and not like as many as 10 to make sure that like some of those larger films got in, I think that was a decision that was created, or at least came from a point of, let's try to get as many people as we can watching. But I don't think the Academy as a block is going to say to themselves, hey, we're a bunch of actors and costume designers and production designers and everything else. We really need this award show that only like 0.01% of us ever truly benefit from to get better ratings. Like that's not how that's going to work. Really, Razzie should only nominate established actors and filmmakers. No point in ruining someone who's just trying to get their career off the ground. Yeah, I think that's I think that's a good way of going about it. I like Razzies because I think it's fun to shit on bad movies, but we shouldn't shit on individuals, just the end product that is the film. I say abolish acting categories and leave worst picture, etc. That could work. Bruce Willis was and still is making a bad movie after another. That's absolutely true. Yeah, they're not good movies. But when you want to have an entire category dedicated to him, and then you find out that the reason that he is not able to make the best performance decisions or pick the best roles is because of a neurodegenerative disease, that changes how the Razzies how they wanted to, like, what they were trying to do, right? It was just someone like of their own clear and free mind making bad choice after bad choice after bad choice, and they're like just a fully functioning adult who's just making bad choices. It's like, all right, man, here's your reward for being really bad. But if it's someone who is experiencing like a neurodegenerative disease and they can't actively make good decisions, or they're like not, or it's harder for them to make those decisions, then yeah, I think it's a little mean-spirited, and I don't like that. Directing a child and how kids are trained to act in the industry are a lot different. Kieran Culkin talks about this a lot, about having to unlearn and relearn things. Interesting. And again, why the hell nominate Ben Affleck in The Last Duel for Worst Supporting Actor? Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think they like him. Nothing can be fun unless it tickles 2 million boxes. Why 2 million boxes? What's up, Fernanda? Good to see you here. Josephine's here too. I'm glad to be with you in the chat today. My father just passed away today. Oh, shit. I'm so sorry, Josephine. That's terrible. I'm so sorry. Yeah. Sorry. I hope everyone send Josephine some good messages. I think there's already some stuff in there. But yeah, my condolences. I'm so sorry. Fernanda saying, I'm finally seeing The Fabelmans this weekend. I'm excited. It's a good movie. We are all being locked up because the Who TikTok generation. Who's being locked up? No one's being locked up. No one's been locked up. Ain't no woke police. Cancel culture is fake. Doesn't exist. It actually doesn't exist. I mean, let's be real. Everyone who complains about being canceled is just doing that to like go on some kind of book tour, publicity tour, you know? It seems like everyone who complains about being canceled is saying it in front of like a 10,000 person arena show, you know? It's wild. Anyone remember North, stinker of a film? Imagine if people bullied the child actors so much that they would quit acting. Instead, they became major stars like Elijah Wood and Scarlett Johansson. Fair. I fucking hate this narrative. The blockbusters in the Best Picture lineup will save Oscar ratings. One, when they've had blockbusters like Black Panther and Joker, it hasn't helped the ratings that much. Yeah, I mean, I think maybe we would have to look at the numbers. I wonder if in those years when those films were nominated, if like the slow decline of Oscar ratings year over year kind of like edged out a little bit, like still decreased or maybe like bumped a little bit. But yeah, like Oscar ratings have been going down for a long time. And the idea of going to 10 films in the Best Picture race, I think was meant to help ratings, but it's obviously not going to fix the other structural issues that they have. Like, you know, people don't want to watch a 4-hour award show. You know, that's just not what people are about. I don't even like watching a 3-hour baseball game, let alone a 4-hour award show about the thing that I love more than anything else in the world. The Razzies don't take themselves seriously, but all the woke oversensitive do. Does that mean I'm a woke oversensitive? Oh no. They had indie movies in the 90s and 2000s, and the ratings were normal then. That had less to do with the films getting nominated and just the viewing options that people had, right? You go back to the 90s, even in the early 2000s, most people had like 30, 40 channels on cable. And when it's Sunday night in the middle of February, because the Oscars did used to happen in February, I think actually in January, because they tried to do them before the Super Bowl, actually. So, you know, what are you going to do? It's freezing outside, and, you know, you have the option of this and a rerun. So might as well watch the Oscars, right? And obviously, if you don't agree with woke people, you are wrong. I mean, that's true. That is true. I am the most woke and also the most right, coincidentally. What's up, Raymond? Good to have you here. Who funds the Razzies, though? I think they're self-funded. Like, if you go back to this article about the Razzies, you can see them like giving out an award in 2009. Like they're in a community center from the looks of it. I'm not going to say that they have a lot of money, but like this is just a couple of sheets of paper put onto pink cardboard. So oh wait, you guys aren't able to see it. This is what I'm looking at right here. Like, this is not screamed to me, we've got a lot of money and we are funded. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the people who are in charge of the Razzies just kind of like do this as a thing. You know, it's kind of like no one's making money off of these. These things are not, the Razzies are not telecast, they're not broadcast to my knowledge. So yeah. I'm kind of against a lot of the Jared Leto hate. I know he hasn't had good roles recently. Some of that is obviously because he's taking superhero roles, but some of Jared Leto earlier roles are really good, for sure. He's won an Oscar for the Dallas Buyers Club. He was in Requiem for a Dream, and he did a good job in that. I think a lot of the Jared Leto hate these days comes from the fact that he's basically running a cult, and it's real weird. And I encourage everyone to Google search Jared Leto cult and take a read. Stallone, actually, Raymond, yeah, you're right. Stallone has the most Razzie nominations or awards. I can't remember which one it is, but it's 10, whatever the number is. And he was nominated this year for Samaritan. For me, the Oscars at first were to know which movies to see when I began to be interested in film, but now I feel like it's a bingo style game to see how many awards I can guess. And that's true. The gamification of the Oscars is a totally real thing, which I participate in, and I don't know if it's a good thing or not. But we live in a time when an apology is not enough. Dense sentence to all who disagree, and this comes from those pledging justice. I don't think that's true, actually. I think that apologies are met. I think as long as the apologies are sincere and it feels like the person has like learned something from it, I think that apologies can be effective, right? Like, I guess it's maybe a little bit too early for everything to shake out for Andrew Callahan, who is the host of Channel 5 and used to be who used to run the YouTube channel All Gas No Breaks. He was recently accused of sex pestering and things like this, and his apology, was pretty good. There were some parts in it that could have been improved, but I think that he at least appears like the type of person who will be able to come out of this as a better person, and people will be willing to take him back. We also have to remember here too that when it comes to like online media figures or even celebrities and things like that, you're only as much canceled as your audience will want you to be canceled, right? So like if, let's say I had 3 to 4 million subscribers and I was regularly getting like millions of views on channels, right? If I did something that I needed to apologize for, I'm only canceled if like pretty much the entire audience just leaves. And like 4 million people, especially people who've been with the channel for a long time, are not just easily going to run away and dissipate. They will probably give me the benefit of the doubt. I will probably be able to continue posting content that will still continue to do somewhat well. And as long as the channel still stays monetized, I'm still able to earn a living. So like, even though I've had to apologize for something, I clearly haven't been canceled, and I would still have had, and I still have a platform to speak from. So like, and I'm just like an internet person. I'm not someone like Louis C.K., who, for example, was nominated for at least a Grammy after he was quote unquote canceled, and now he's on comedy tours making money again. Like, it's not this kind of thing where it's like as soon as like the woke mob comes for you, you're fucking dead. Like, that narrative just doesn't hold up when you look at when you look at the reality of the situation, right? Like, that's not what happens. Nominating any blockbuster in MVP wouldn't save Oscars, but nominating good blockbusters consistently, not once in 10 years, might. That's a fair point. Josephine, so sorry for your loss. Terrible thing to go through. Yeah, I personally haven't had to go through that, but some of my friends have lost parents, and it's always a tragedy. Always a tragedy. When Black Panther was nominated, ratings were slightly higher than the year before, but wasn't a huge increase. When Joker was nominated, ratings were lower than ever before. Once again, that's just part of the constant decline of the Oscars. They have more systemic, more structural issues that they need to address. And I think opening up the Best Picture so that more blockbusters could get nominated is just a kind of band-aid for that. The year of Joker was the lowest rated at that point, but quality cinema is more popular than given credit for. Otherwise, online outlets like Letterboxd and these YouTube channels wouldn't exist. That's true. Although when we start talking about like financial stability of some of these things, like this YouTube channel, that's still a little ways away. And I think that even if you were to look at the YouTube channels that talk about media on YouTube, specifically films, you're not going to find super popular, well-monetized channels that like regularly talk about films outside of the mainstream that we would call like quality or best of the year, right? Like, I think it would be pretty hard for someone on this platform to talk only about films like EO and Close and like Decision to Leave and do well. And like be able to earn a living off of that. But once again, that is not necessarily a measure, like the only measure for success. But for a lot of creators, that's kind of the bottom line. Are you buying Sundance 2023 online movies? I am not participating in Sundance this year. If everything goes well and I can actually get going on YouTube, maybe I'll go to Sundance next year. It'd be nice to have just like, 2 or 3 festivals that I go to every year. TIFF is the easy one, of course. Sundance would be a lot of fun. And then maybe I don't know. Yeah, you do Sundance. You do Sundance in January. You do Cannes in May or June, and then you do TIFF in September. Perfect. Get my tux ready for Cannes. It would be great. I also think that inaccessibility hinders things a lot. I have to go through several hoops of VPNs and odd links to see the show. I think more would watch if it was streamed easily everywhere. The Oscars, yeah, for sure. For sure. The only issue there, and I've talked about this before, is that the amount of money you can make from ads on, online streaming video is far less than you make from traditional television. And it's not something that networks necessarily want to let go of, because even though the ratings are, like 12, 15 million for a 3-hour block, that's still pretty good. That's still pretty good. That's not bad. You can look at like other, quote unquote event television. Like tonight at 8 p.m. I'm going to be watching wrestling, because I always watch wrestling at 8 p.m. on Wednesdays, and they get like 1 million viewers over 2 hours, and that's a very successful program for that network. I think it's one of the highest rated cable shows on Wednesdays for the most part. So if NBC or Fox or whoever has the Oscars can just like point at that calendar and say, on that Sunday night we're going to get 13 million viewers and we're going to sell the shit out of the ads for it, like there's no way that just moves to digital streaming. They just won't give that up. And it's going to stay that way until the ad rates rise high enough so that the Academy Awards could justify leaving a major streaming network partner. And like that time may be closer than we think, because the SAG Awards, as we know, are going to be live streamed on YouTube this year, and next year they're going to be live streamed on Netflix. So there is a certain there is the possibility that these things could go elsewhere. And to think that like someone like a Disney isn't looking at the Academy Awards and saying like, hey, what if we just bought this, right? What if we just bought the rights to this forever and just had it on Disney Plus, and that's a thing? Why wouldn't they do that? If they thought it would reliably bring people to their platform every year, why not do that? Aside from it making it like, really bad in terms of like, we would no longer be able to believe them when a Disney film actually won anything, or a Fox film for that matter. I also think that we already read that. Jared Leto hate has a lot to do with him as a person. Yep. Do not know the cult factor. Doesn't surprise me though. Yeah, it's weird. And it's like real culty. Adios everyone, gotta hit the gym to make up for sitting on my ass watching movies and TV so much. Yeah, I should probably do that too. Not today though. What is a movie that was popular in the Razzies and at the same time could be considered an enjoyable film? I'm not familiar with them, to be honest. Man, we would have to go through like all of the Razzies. All of the Razzies. So I mean, like, I don't know. Like this year they nominated Jurassic World Dominion, but I had fun in Jurassic World Dominion. Sure, it was stupid, and sure ending off the new trilogy with a movie about fucking bugs instead of dinosaurs was kind of weird, but there were some good moments in it, and I liked it. So yeah, I don't know. I'm sure if you were to go through like a couple of the different ones, you would be able to find like something that is not super horrible, right? Like last year they nominated Space Jam: A New Legacy as the worst movie of the year. And yeah, I heard not good things about it, but I also heard people thought it was fun. So whatever. I'm not gonna give it, there might be good stuff here. They gave worst movie to Cats in 2020, and a lot of people really like that movie for weird reasons, strange reasons, furry reasons, but they like it. So whatever. But yeah, you'd have to go through and find them. If anyone has any of these, if anyone knows of any Razzie films that are actually fun to watch, please let us know. For Jared Leto, I will say, get rid of that damn hair and beard. It does not suit you. I mean, the man might have a Jesus complex. Who's to say? And yeah, Kevin Spacey is making a new movie, and fucking Mel Gibson is back. Like, cancel culture ain't a thing. It ain't a thing, bro. Yeah, I do definitely agree that movies premiering at film festivals can actually hurt their box office chances. Sometimes the hype dies down even before the film hits theaters. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of that has to do with the way that the schedules typically line up. Like, there's probably going to be films debuting right now in theaters that were at Sundance last year because whoever purchased them, whatever distribution company picked them up, decided that it's not a good idea to purchase the rights for these films and then release them in February because maybe they want the film to hit even more festivals, or maybe they don't want it to go up against Quantumania, and then you get into March, and then you get into April, and then even more blockbusters are coming out, and la 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 la. So yeah, it can get tricky. It can get real tricky. Dora, you want to attend Fantasia 2023? That'd be cool. Montreal's a great city, man. I love Montreal. That'd be another one I add to the calendar, although Fantasia is not one that I think I need to go to every year because I think that sometimes the quality of films can go a little up and down. I think maybe Fantastic Fest would be a bit more up my alley because I think the quality is a bit more steady. But then again, a lot of like the best films, or at least some of the films that go to Fantasia or Fantastic, end up at Toronto After Dark. So I don't know, or at least they used to. I don't know if Toronto After Dark's any good anymore. Oh yeah, Spacey got a Lifetime Achievement Award from Italian government too. So canceled. Let's appreciate the Oscars having become a Grammys, including 1 or 2 blockbusters is okay. Yeah. Although the Grammys, I think, have different criteria for that kind of stuff. I forget what they do, but I feel like they almost, like, aren't the Grammys much closer to, like, the Billboard Awards than anything else? Like, they take album sales, I think, into some aspect of the decision making at the Grammys, which the Academies do not do, supposedly. I mean, I'm sure there are people who vote at the Academy Awards who are like, which one made the most money? That's clearly the best movie of the year, and they fill out their ballot that way. But it's not something that is meant to, or is you are told to consider it that way. I guess in the country of Silvio Berlusconi, sexual misconduct counts as an achievement. Oh boy. Are you planning to watch Infinity Pool this weekend? Yes, I am. Also, hello, Pratik. Yeah. I just picked up my ticket for Infinity Pool. I won't say which day I'm going to see it, but I will be seeing it very soon. And if you're in the Cinemateq Discord, link in the description box below to join if you so choose. I'll be posting my thoughts there. And we'll get a holy shit. I don't know. I gave a film a holy shit just yesterday. And you guys know how rare those are. So, I also think it's weird. It's considered such a huge problem an award show has low ratings. I mean, that's really a concern that like that's not something that we should be concerned about. I think it is strange how like we have a conversation about ratings when it doesn't affect us. Like it doesn't really change how we interact with the show itself. It's more just like it's really just more of a business talking point that a lot of creators and talking heads like me take up because it's an easy metric to point at, and I think it's actually a lot more difficult to talk about like the quality of an award show because like what even is a good award show, so yeah, it is weird how we kind of have gotten into these kinds of things. Yeah, and like just to bring it back to wrestling as well, this is often a point of contention in the professional wrestling business, or at least in professional wrestling communities. Like they will compare the ratings between WWE shows and AEW shows, the two big promotions in the United States, and like the show that gets the most ratings is clearly the better show, right? Well, no, but like that's how some people treat it. It's weird. I think you should watch the thing that you like the best, which is what I do, and that's why I watch AEW and not WWE. The Grammys ratings aren't even any better. Yeah, the Grammys are weird. But the Grammys occupy a weird space in award shows because they're like one of those award shows that have so many awards they can't even like attempt to get all of them on TV. So they've never had to have that kind of conversation about like, well, what do we air? What do we not air? Except when like a bunch of angry metalheads are like, why aren't they putting the best metal album on TV? We deserve it. Put Metallica on stage, you cowards. And then they did, but had to be with Lady Gaga. I told you about All That Breathes, a documentary about a vet in New Delhi, which you would like. I told you about All That Breathes. Did you tell me about that? Did I add that to my letterbox list? All That Breathes. All That Breathes. It looks familiar. It's not on the watch list. All right. All right. Let's see what streaming service it's available on. None of them. Huzzah. All right, I'll put it on the watch list, though. Rocky IV got a Razzie for Worst Picture. Rocky IV ended the Cold War. And only Rocky IV and nothing else. Wasn't The Shining nominated to Razzies? Was it really? Yo, that's wild. Weird. Huh. Saw The Sun yesterday. It's like The Father, but if the story revolved around Olivia Colman instead of Anthony Hopkins, lol. Like not focusing on the son's point of view led to a boring film. I just think it being very poorly made is also why it's a bad film. And like a lot of the performances are not good either. Yeah. But the thing that I've always said about The Sun after I saw it at TIFF is that it feels like, you know, an NYU student's thesis film that they were able to make because, you know, their parents own a couple of different properties in Manhattan and they just shot at those properties and didn't really bother to do anything else with them. And also Hugh Jackman's in it. That's it. That's the movie. It's not good. In my mind. And in a lot of other people's minds. And I think it's actually a good thing that Hugh Jackman did not get nominated for an Oscar for that. Because for a time, he was considered not a front runner, but at least someone who could get nominated, who very easily could get nominated. And I think that would have been a fucking travesty. Friday the 13th, 1980 got a Razzie for Worst Picture, but it launched a 9-film franchise. Yo, Friday the 13th is good. Kevin Bacon gets a thing through the heart, you know? That's awesome. He has one of the best deaths in all of cinema. I love his death in that movie. It's not better than what's his name? I was about to say Johnny Cash, but no, it's not Johnny Cash. It's Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp getting eaten by a bed and being turned into a blood fountain in the original Nightmare on Elm Street. That's the best one. And maybe you guys can get into the what is it? The chat and let me know what you think the best horror death is. But like nothing beats Johnny Depp in my mind getting sucked down into a bed and being turned into a blood fountain. Really a blood geyser. It's pretty incredible. NYC to Montreal is a 10-hour drive. Yeah, it ain't easy. Whatever happened to the Oscars Twitter award? Oh, yeah. I guess they're not doing that this year because it was fucking panned and everyone thought they were stupid idiots for doing it last year. Whoa, not Stanley Kubrick winning Worst Director for The Shining? Did he really? Those idiots. I mean, just cancel the Razzies for that. They're a completely irrelevant institution if they gave Stanley Kubrick a Razzie for The Shining, one of the all-time best horror movies ever. What the hell are you thinking? I plan to watch Infinity Pool as well for some odd reason. One of my theaters is going to play Elvis again. You guys are going to probably start noticing this a little bit more as we get closer to the Oscars, but now that the Oscar nominations have been released, people are going to be paying a little bit more attention to those films in particular. Like All Quiet on the Western Front is going to be playing in a Cineplex, and Cineplex is the major theater chain in Canada. They're going to be showing it. A Netflix film. I don't think it's ever happened before, at least in my experience. Like Netflix films have only ever played in Toronto, at least, at the TIFF Bell Lightbox. They've never played in a Cineplex. So having a Netflix film go to Cineplex is actually kind of a big deal. I think it's only happening in one theater in downtown, and I think it's only going to be on one screen in downtown, but it's still going to be there, right? So that's an interesting update. But you probably will see some of these films that were nominated for Oscars. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Everything Everywhere All at Once came back to theaters over the next couple of weeks, or maybe in February, or even maybe early March, just as like a gear up to the Academy Awards. All That Breathes is another Oscar nom from India. Wait, did it get nominated? Like, is it one of the films that got nominated for the Oscars and I just forgot about it already? Oscar nominations. I probably should remember this because I was up very early yesterday looking at these. Best Picture, Best Actor, International Film, Actress, Animated Feature, Documentary, Feature. Oh, All That Breathes. Okay, so yeah, that is one I was going to watch anyways. But thank you for reminding me. Yeah, for documentary, I need to watch All That Breathes, A House Made of Splinters, and Navalny. Do you think Oscars should have more categories, stunt lighting, etc.? Like, even if it means having to do what Grammys and Emmys do, which is hold a separate ceremony for under-the-line categories? It depends, right? Like, I want the Oscars to do... Like, I think the Oscars should add Best Stunt. 100% I think they should. I don't think they need to do Best Lighting because that's kind of included under Best Cinematography. Like, no one's ever going to award a film Best Cinematography if the light is shit, because, you know, the gaffers, who are the people who are basically in charge of putting up all the lights, they are under the direction of the cinematographer. So, like, no one's ever going to give a film like best cinematography if the lighting is not good, right? So I don't think that's something that needs to happen, but I do think there needs to be a Best Stunt Performance, and the SAG Awards do have it, the Cinemateq Film Awards do have it, and hopefully at some point in the future, the Academy Awards may change the way that they handle gendered awards for the 4 performance categories. So if they were to go to just, you know, Best Lead Performance and Best Supporting Performance, no gender, then that would mean that they lose 2 awards, which means they could add 1 back with Best Stunt Performance, and still be one presentation lighter, which is something that they would like to do because it would allow them to have a bit more of a leaner award ceremony, even if it only saves them, you know, 6 to 8 minutes overall. But I do want them to have stunt, but I think it's the only category that I want them to add. India got 3 Oscar noms in 2023. Woo woo! I actually appreciate how the Emmys have an award for literally all kinds of people. Like, they even have a Best Title Design Award. I think Oscars should do the same, celebrate everyone who contributed. There is like another Oscar award that usually happens the day before. That does this, and they do like the technical awards for the most part. Usually I think those awards are reserved for like innovations. So I'm sure the people who like figured out how to get camera systems on the outside of jets that are flying at like, you know, hundreds of miles an hour in Top Gun Maverick, those guys will be able to get like an Academy Award for that in that ceremony. I forget what that is specifically called. And then the Oscars also have another award ceremony that happens early in the year called the Governor's Ball, I believe. And that's where their honorary awards are handed out. So they do those things. I just don't know if they have like set categories. What happens if I just Google the other Oscars? The others, no. The Oscars. What are they called? Technical Oscars? Scientific and Technical Awards. There we go. So this is what I'm talking about here. The Academy's Scientific and Technical Awards honor the individuals and companies whose discoveries and innovations have contributed in significant and lasting ways to motion pictures. For the complete list of honorees for 2020, no, we don't want 2020. That's ridiculous. But yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. So some of the people that I think you're referring to, they get awarded here, and usually a couple of clips from this award show are put onto the main telecast for the main Oscars. So yeah. Watched Fire Love yesterday. It was very cool and interesting. I'm seeing women talking with my cousins. Right on. Yeah, Fire Love is amazing. I love Fire of Love so much. So many volcanoes looking so beautiful and deadly, but mostly beautiful. Paul Mescal and After Sun greater than Hugh Jackman in The Sun. Absolutely. There's not even a doubt. Everyone in After Sun is better than Hugh Jackman. In The Sun, I should say. Best horror death is that tree scene from The Evil Dead. Oh man. I mean, yeah, it is a good death, but it is Razzie's nominated Morricone for The Thing. See, just throw them in the river. Just throw them in the river. All Quiet is on Netflix, and Elvis and Triangle of Sadness should be on Redbox. So Women Talking is the only film that I don't think I'll be seeing before the Oscars. Yeah, I mean, now that it's been nominated for Best Picture, we may see a wider theatrical release for Women Talking. So keep an eye out for that. Keep a lookout for that. Now that we're not really talking about the Razzies anymore, I'm just going to change the title. Movie Chats Live. Bang. Should the Oscars add more slots to categories? I don't think so. And I think from a practical standpoint, I don't think that they would do it, right? Like if you were to add, say, 2 more slots on every category, I know this doesn't sound like a lot, but you are adding on like 5 to 10 seconds, or like, I guess 5 to 10 seconds per, like, you know, reading out and showing a clip from the movie. And so if you do that twice, you're talking about like 10 to 20 seconds. Over the course of like 20 to 23 categories, you're talking about adding what? Almost an additional 5 minutes of runtime to the show just because of doing that. And I don't think the Oscars are going to do anything that increases the length of the show without a very, very good reason. And I don't think they really have a good reason right now to expand the amount of people who get nominated in each individual category. Should they have a category for horror movies like other awards do for comedy movies? I don't think so. And the reason is strange. The reason is strange and weird, but I think the Academy doesn't want to suggest that like certain types of films don't get as much love as other types of films, even though they definitely obviously do, you know? I don't think they want to put out there this idea that a horror film needs its own award, because if the horror films were good enough, they would get nominated for Best Picture. We all know that there's a bias against horror films. We all know this. And it's one of the reasons why the Cinemateq Film Awards has individual genre awards, because I want to make sure that people are able to vote for everything that they love, and people can see and talk about what is the best sci-fi film every year, what is the best horror film every year. It's all about discussion from my standpoint, and that's a good thing. But I think the Oscars are kind of hell-bent on this idea that that any film is good enough to be nominated for an Oscar, and therefore having too many different subcategories, you could say, or other categories is not what they really want to go to. I think, you know, documentary is a much different kind of filmmaking than feature filmmaking, and I think that animation is a much different kind of filmmaking than both documentary and typical feature filmmaking, which is why they get their own individual awards. But, you know, from I think from a lot of other standpoints, the idea, like the just making a horror film is not necessarily different from a drama film or a comedy film. You know, there's just different types of scripts suited for different types of audiences. Do you think a Young Actor Award First Time Director could be added? I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think a Breakthrough Performance Award could be really good, and I think a Best First Time Director could be really good. But once again, I don't think the Oscars are going to start adding categories unless we, you know, if 50 million people all stood up and said, if you add a Best New Director and a Best Breakthrough Performance category, we will definitely watch your stupid award show, then they would do it immediately, right? But right now, the Oscars and the Academy Awards as an organization are trying to figure out how to make the Academy Awards leaner and more entertaining, and adding categories is not going to do that. At least I'm sure that's what the conversations are like that they have internally about these things. TJ, is there a letterbox list with every film nominated for an Oscar this year? Because I couldn't seem to find any. Yeah, I found at least one. Oscars 2023. Yeah, like I think if you just search Oscars 2023, you can find a bunch. The only exception is that you know, some of them I don't think some of them are not going to include the short films, but like this person has like Oscars 2023 updated with all nominees and win chances. I don't know what the hell win chances are, but yeah, so I have my filter on for no short films, but yeah, this looks like everything to me. House Made of Splinters, documentary, yep, Nilvani, The Sea Beast. Quiet Girl, All the Breves. Yeah. This one seems correct. There's EO, with his original, I guess its original Polish name is Io. Interesting. Didn't realize that. Yeah, so there you go. There's one. Just search Oscars 2023. You'll get there. A video game you would want to be a movie. Wait, what was it? And a movie you would want to be a video game. My picks: Mass Payne as a movie, Avatar as a video game. What? Okay, so I think the ones that make a lot of sense here are like story-based games, like Heavy Rain. I think have David Fincher make a Heavy Rain video game, and I think it's probably going to be pretty sick, right? But that just seems too easy. I think actually, yeah, Brent, I like that. I think a StarCraft. I think StarCraft as a like potential franchise where you could tell like multiple stories across multiple films or TV shows like makes almost too much sense, and I wonder why it hasn't happened yet. But that's another one that I think could work really well. And a movie that I would want as a video game. Something like an Event Horizon, like a space survival movie could be really good. Event Horizon as a video game could be great. And also just like Blade Runner, noir detective things set in the future, like that's always fun for me. Favorite funeral scene in a movie? It's probably something from like Four Funerals and a Wedding. I think that's the name of the movie. Favorite snake scene in a movie? Snake is probably like in the Indiana Jones scene from early. Actually, yeah, no, either of the snake scenes in Indiana Jones. The I Hate Snakes obviously is great. But then also I think there's the snake room in that same film. Before the Best Picture noms were said, I saw all 10. Way to go, Ella. I did the exact same thing. I saw all of the Best Picture nominees before they announced it. I was very proud about that. I think that's the first time I've ever done that. I think if you do have more slots for the Oscars, you're just giving bigger middle finger to those who get snubbed. Kinda. I don't know if I completely agree with that, though. When do you think we'll have acting categories not segregated by gender? It's already starting to happen. I think the Independent Spirit Awards have moved away from it. I think other awards are not doing it. The Cinemateq Film Awards obviously don't do that. I think it's becoming a more popular idea. I don't think it's going to be something that's adopted by mainstream awards like the SAG Awards or the Academy Awards until a non-binary actor comes along and gives like the best performance of the year, and then the Academy has to figure out what category do we put them in, right? And they know that no matter what they do, it's going to be a bad look, right? Like the person from the new Game of Thrones series, whose name I forget, but did really well in like the second half of that season. They're a great actor, right? Great performer. And there's no reason why they, at some point in the future, wouldn't be in that kind of performance that deserves a nomination. Well, what does SAG do? What do the Oscars do in that case? Do they flip a coin? Or do they create a whole new category for non-binary performers that year? Probably not. So I think eventually there's going to be a performance that forces the issue. Emma Corrin, thank you very much. Chell Belaney, Chell Belaney. Thank you. I think eventually there's going to be a performance that forces the issue, and I'm kind of fascinated to see what they do, because I don't know. There's no easy answer, right? Because like they can't just like look at a performance and say, "Ooh, that might get nominated. Let's, in advance of that maybe getting nominated, change our rules," right? Because that performance may not actually hit mainstream or start getting momentum until like November or December, at which point they don't really have enough time to change that kind of stuff. So it's really going to be fascinating to see how they handle it. And I think they're probably going to fuck it up. They're just going to, there's probably going to be one year where they totally shit the bed on it, and then they'll figure out the best way moving forward for the year after that. Make a category for sportsmanship. That'd be interesting. Also, I don't know if more slots would equal more deserving movies. It would actually be more undeserving Oscars, mid-Oscar baits. Yeah, potentially. I mean, yeah, I guess if you open up categories more, then there's more of a chance that people will start like targeting Oscars, but a lot of movies target Oscars anyway, so I think, yeah, you just end up not getting more Oscar bait movies getting made, but more Oscar bait movies getting nominated. Although, in fairness, there weren't a lot of Oscar bait movies nominated this year, right? Like, if we look at the nominations for Best Picture, are there any that we could, like, look at and say, oh, that's a baity film? Like, I guess you could argue, like, Top Gun Maverick is certainly not a Oscar bait film. Women Talking kind of is. Everything Everywhere All at Once is not. Banshees of Inisherin kind of is. The Fablemans is. Triangle of Sadness is not. All Quiet on the Western Front, kind of not. Avatar is not. Elvis, really isn't, even though it's a biopic. I think it's stylistically off the beaten path enough that I wouldn't call it a bait film. And then Tar, I wouldn't consider a bait film either. So it seems like we have like a fairly low number of bait films this year, which is nice. Most snubbed animated, I have no idea. No clue. Someone in here who knows a lot about animation, answer this question. Win chances are probably the chance at winning. I mean, yeah. Yeah, you're probably right. Start reading Sarah Pauli's book, Run Towards the Danger. Nice. Let me know if it's good. I love the funeral scene in Old School. Oh, yeah. The You're My Boy Blue. That one. Yeah. Happy Wednesday, Trey. Good to have you here on the live stream. I want an actually good Resident Evil movie, and there's a game that's a lot like Castaway. A really good Resident Evil film would be nice. And you have to kind of wonder, like, have they just been bad because they've only gotten bad filmmakers to work on them, or is it Capcom, like, interfering with the film? I think you were thinking of 4 weddings and a funeral. Is that what Oh, wait, did I say 4 funerals and a wedding? Whoops. Snake scene in Babylon. Man, I need to see Babylon again. There's so many parts of that movie that I don't remember because I saw it on New Year's Eve. Favorite diner or restaurant scene in a movie? Hello, Rocco. Do you want to come be my favorite cat in a movie? Yeah? Oh, what's up, big guy? Come here. Let me get that tum-tum. I'm gonna get you. Got him! Oh, look who it is. It's the biggest and best cat in the world. No struggles. There, you're fine. You're fine. Look at you. Look, people are saying hi to you already, you big handsome bear. Hello, everyone, says Rocco. See, look at that. Rocco in all caps. That's just for you. He's actually kind of looking like right at the chat. So if you put something in the chat right now, Rocco will see it. He will read your comments because he can read English. That's not something that people are aware of, but he's very clever at reading English. Oh, look at you. Just staring at all your fans. Yeah. Oh, you're very popular. You will get treats, TJ told me. I mean, I don't know if you're going to get treats. I think I'll just hold them like this for a minute. Diner scene from Pulp Fiction for sure. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Top 5 Scorsese movies. That's difficult. That's hard to do. God. Goodfellas. Where are you going? I'd actually need to look at a list of all of his films because I often forget the stuff that he's directed. Oh, do you want to go on my lap, Rocco? Yeah? What are your favorite Scorsese movies? Or are you more of a Quentin Tarantino fan? Oh, I'm going to put you this way so you don't bite my hand when I use the mouse. You should start commenting with Rocco with you, like that dude with no shirt on singing to his cat. Maybe? I don't know. This tale's enough, though, isn't it? This is enough for you guys? I would hope so. It's a very nice tale. Yes, you do. You have a great tale. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, Emma Corrin, right. I've seen 30 out of the 39 films for Oscar noms, excluding shorts. Pretty good, Dory. You're doing better than I am, although I'm going to see most of them. Hopefully. Diarmas wasn't Razzie nominated for Blonde, according to Wikipedia. Yeah, she's like the only person involved with Blonde that wasn't nominated for a Razzie, weirdly enough. I mean, not weirdly enough. Imagine getting nominated for a Razzie and an Academy Award in the same year. But yeah, Martin Scorsese movies, top 5. Let's see. I'll settle this debate. that no one is having. Okay, so I obviously haven't seen all of them, but with that said, from the ones I have seen, my top 5 would include Gangs of New York, Goodfellas, Raging Bull, Taxi Driver, and probably The Color of Money. Now, having said that, these are the Scorsese films that I haven't seen. Silence, The Aviator, Bringing Out the Dead, Kundun, The Age of Innocence, Cape Fear, The Last Temptation of Christ, After Hours, The King of Comedy, New York, New York, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, Boxcar Bertha, and Who's That Knocking at My Door? So, a lot. There are a lot of Scorsese films that I haven't seen, and I probably should because he's like the patron saint of cinema. Excuse me. If Janelle Monáe got nommed, it might have been this year. Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting that they're non-binary. We'll just decide what gender you are for you and put them in act. Oh, I mean, yeah, that's the Golden Globes for you, right? Wendell Wild, most snubbed animated film. Interesting. I didn't really think that was an award-worthy film, personally, when I saw it. I'm pretty happy with the nominations that we got for animated. The lack of Beatty films on the lineup speaks to the general public, and some celebrities themselves are sick of preachy high horses. Yeah, I think that's fair. Is Babylon a good film to watch? Because I heard mixed reviews. Yo, I loved Babylon, and I think that if you are into just wildness, just wild chaos, then go watch it. And if you're the least bit interested in Hollywood in the early days, like the the mid-20s into the late 20s into the early 30s, if you're interested in that Hollywood period at all, go see it. If you're interested in like fantastic costume design and production design, go see it. But, if you do not like chaos, if you like really neatly and nicely structured films and you don't like films that deviate from that, it's probably not for you. I do think it'd be fun to have Oscar snub awards where only movies that receive 0 Oscar nominations compete for films like Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Hereditary, Uncut Gems, Decision to Leave. Yeah, I'm totally down with that. Nope, I'm pretty sure would be top of the list this year. Rocco is judging humanity through these comments. Yeah, and he doesn't have a very high opinion. Just kidding. Rocco, what's a Jellicle's cat? Yeah, Rocco, what is a Jellicle's cat? Oh, he's licking his butt right now. He can't answer. You should start Oh, yeah, I already read that. TJ, I almost spit my food out. For what? Oh, I forget. I forget what I said when you commented that. Ginger guy plus black cat equals huge success. So far, yeah, it kind of helps. Rocco is entirely out of frame, so it looks like TJ has a wagging tail. Sandra Bullock won both an Oscar and a Razzie in the same year. I mean, the girl's talented. What can we say? My top 5, Scorsese's Taxi Driver, Goodfellas, Raging Bull, Casino, Irishman. Yeah, I think pretty much everyone's top 5 Scorsese's are going to include Goodfellas, Raging Bull, and Taxi Driver. I think it's really hard to do a Scorsese top 5 without those 3. But, as we watch more, those opinions may change. I'll settle this debate that no one is having. That's what we do on the internet, isn't it? Isn't that like the entire purpose of why we're here? To start debates that no one cares about and then settle them? Isn't that just what a video essay is? King of Comedy is a masterpiece? Yeah. I should. Maybe I'll do Scorsese after I finish watching all the Bergman films. Maybe I'll do Scorsese next. Although I feel like after watching so many Bergman films, I need to turn it over and watch and try to do the complete filmographies of at least a couple of women to kind of balance it out. But I'm also trying to not watch a majority U.S. films this year. That's my 2023 goal. And so if I were to do Kelly Reichardt, those would all be American films. I don't want to do that. And if I were to do Catherine Bigelow, those would all be American films. So I would need I guess I could do Chantal Akerman, but that's a lot of movies. How many movies did Chantal Akerman do? Because that definitely would get me... I'd be able to watch Jean Dalmont because of that. But I feel like a lot of Chantal Akerman films are now available. Oh, wait, no, people. I need people. Show me people. Where are the people? Cast, crews, studios. What? Did I not spell Chantal right? Chantal Akerman. Isn't that what I said? Director of 61 films. Oh boy. 34 of which are features. I guess it's less than Bergman, so it wouldn't be that out of the ordinary. But man, that's a lot. That's... yeah, I probably could figure it out. Chantal Akerman only did 6 to 8 films. Why does it say 34? I'm looking at it right here. Chantal Akerman, film directed by... We got News from Home. Je, tu, il, elle. Claire Denis. Ooh, Claire Denis would be interesting because I've already seen a few of her films, so it might not take me that long to get through them all. Actually, I better turn on... Oh, wait. I've seen at least one Chantal Akerman film. Yeah, there we go. Tout en nuit. I've seen that. That was cool. I liked that. But maybe these top 4. Maybe you should check those out. Let's see. Actually, I'll check Claire Denis really quick because I know I've seen like at least 4 of her films. At least 4? Because I've seen High Life. I've seen Trouble Every Day. I've seen White Material, Both Sides of the Blade. So there's 4. U.S. Go Home. I saw that. 5. Nanette de Bonny. I saw this. Good for me. So I guess that's 6. Yeah, I've seen some Claire Denis. Although, yeah, I've heard that Beau Travail, considering it's like, you know, pretty high up in the Sight and Sound Top 100, should watch that. Stars at Noon, I've heard, is really good too. Let the Sunshine In has Juliette Binoche in it, who is, of course, awesome. We love Juliette Binoche around here. 35 Shots of Rum sounds like a pretty good Friday night to me. Yeah, this could be another one. Although I think the Chantal Akerman films are going to be a bit more easy to find because I think a lot of her films are going to be on the Criterion Channel, whereas a lot of Claire Denis films I don't think are going to be as available. Like, I think Beau Travail is on the Criterion Channel, yeah. I'm probably saying Travail wrong as well, but hey. Stars at Noon, yeah, that one. Oh, wait. That's a 2022 film. No wonder I haven't seen it. Oh, it's a Margaret Qualley film, too. Cool. Well, that's one to look out for. All right. So what else are people saying? What else is going on here? I saw an infographic ranking best acting nominees by on-screen time, and Leo and Wolf of Wall Street beat Tom Hanks in Castaway. That blew my mind because Tom Hanks is literally on screen all of the time. Yeah, fair point, eh? But I guess that also means that Leo is on screen for all of, or most of, Wolf of Wall Street, too. Oh, yeah, Zora, you asked me about this the other day. Can you get a reaction to Obama's Best Films 2022? Yeah, we can do that. Best Films 2022. Let's see what we get. Skip the ads. Ads are bad unless they're on YouTube, in which case then they're good. Okay. So The Fabelmans, yeah, I would expect Barack Obama to have that there, and it's a good movie. Decision to Leave is in my top 10. Great movie. Love it. Want to watch it again. The Women King, also really good. Not in my top 10, but a fairly good action film. Viola Davis is really good in it. Bunch of good performances. Latasha Lynch is also great. So yeah, positive things to say to that. After Sun, of course, is, amazing. It's in my top 10 of the year. I think it's top 5, actually. Great little film about a father-daughter relationship that ends... Well, it ends. I'll say that. Go watch it. No spoilers. It's great. Emily the Criminal is one that I watched recently, and it's quite good. It's on Netflix. It's this tight little 95-minute crime thriller starring Aubrey Plaza. It seems like she really wanted to show people that she could do something a bit more serious and a bit more dramatic, but also accomplishes the goal of coming off as a complete badass. And I think the sections of the internet that are super into the idea of Aubrey Plaza, like stepping on them, crushing them in high heels and things like that. This film's a little bit for them, I think, because they can envision themselves. They can envision this Aubrey Plaza like just basically bowling you over, bulldozing you. So yeah, highly recommend Emily the Criminal. Petit Maman is a... why did the name fly out of my head? I think it's because I was just talking about Claire Denis, and I was like, yeah, Claire Denis, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a female French filmmaker. Oh my god, this is embarrassing. The director of Petit Maman also did Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I don't want to say Claire Mathon because that was the cinematographer. I don't think I've actually talked about this. What the hell is wrong with me? My brain dead. Celine Sciamma. My god. Ugh. It's embarrassing when you guys get to watch my brain fail in real time. But yeah, the director of Portrait of a Lady on Fire did a very personal, very intimate, very small film that is also a science fiction film. And it's great. I consider it to be a 2021 film because that's when I saw it. But for a lot of people, they didn't see it until 2022. Descendant, haven't seen it, no idea. Although I think it's on Netflix. It did not. I don't think. Yeah, it didn't get it's a documentary. It didn't end up getting nominated for an Oscar, so I'm probably not going to end up watching it now, unfortunately. But hey, Happening is great. That is the French film about a woman trying to get an abortion in France in the 1960s, when abortion was outlawed in France, and so it's a very honest look at what it's like for a young woman to try to get an abortion and what we will inevitably return to if abortions are outlawed. Till I haven't seen, but I've heard Danielle Deadwyler's great in it. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once is incredible. My number 2 film of the year. Nominated for 11 Oscars. Don't need to revisit this too much. I'm honestly not surprised that Barack Obama is going to have Top Gun Maverick in here because, you know, despite the fact that he is like a progressive, quote unquote, a liberal, quote unquote, dude fucking loves the military and he loves using military might. Like, you don't have to make that much of an argument to call Barack Obama a war criminal because, you know, the man definitely got drone strike happy during his 8 years in office. And so a film that really, you know, gets at the need and the exceptionalism of the American military, not surprised that he would include that. And it's also a well-made film. The Good Boss. Haven't seen it, but I'm pretty sure that is a Spanish film starring Javier Bardem. I had an opportunity to see it earlier in the year, and I did not. And by earlier in the year, I meant last year, in 2022. Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy is a Hamaguchi film, the same director who did Drive My Car. This is a film that you can watch on Mubi right now, I'm pretty sure. Same thing with Decision to Leave. Wheel of Fortune and Fantasy is on Criterion Channel in Canada. I haven't seen it, and I can't say anything about it. But I want to see it, eventually. A Hero, don't know it, but I think that's an Iranian film, I believe. Right? Yeah, Ashghar Farhadi directed it. Nominated for the Cannes Grand Prix, for the Palme d'Or. I mean, everything in competition at Cannes gets nominated for the Palme d'Or, so it's kind of a weird nomination. But yeah, it's an Iranian film. Original language Persian. Yeah, haven't seen it though. Haven't seen it. Probably should. Hit the Road. What the hell is Hit the Road? What is this? Oh, this is another Iranian film, I think. Yeah. No, this played at the TIFF Bell Lightbox. Didn't end up going to see this one either. I think it only maybe played for a week and I wasn't able to get to the theater that week. Or I was seeing other stuff. But yeah, heard good things about that. Tar, of course, is great. I think it's in my top 5 of the year as well. Cate Blanchett's performance is super incredible in it. Wonderful direction, wonderful editing. Great film overall, and I really love how he has After Yang here. This is a film directed by Konagata, a I think started off as a visual art, no, as a content creator on Vimeo, and then made a couple of films. And After Yang is a science fiction film that he made with Colin Farrell and a number of other very talented people. And it's definitely one that you should search out, because it does this very cool thing with science fiction where it looks at the near future, basically decides that at some point in the next few years, we as a society understand that if we continue with extreme capitalism like we are right now, we're going to be totally fucked. Like, we're already pretty fucked, but we're going to be totally fucked if we continue on the way that we are right now. And so the future world that After Yang takes place in is a world where mindfulness has kind of taken over and influences a lot of decisions, including architecture, the types of businesses that you will see around. But it's all for the purpose of, like, basically decreasing carbon emissions and things like this. You know, it's kind of like the fantasy future that a lot of people who are very invested into urban densification and, you know, housing initiatives to get people off the streets, basically the future utopia that we all want. It's sort of like the Star Trek future, but like we haven't gone to space, you know. And it's all very grounded in a it all feels very grounded. There's a lot of wood, weirdly. When you watch future sci-fi type stuff, you don't expect to see a lot of things made out of wood, but once again, they made that conscious decision to make things out of sustainable materials, and wood is one of those. You guys ever want to see like some cool random construction stuff on the internet? I suggest finding information on like high rises that are being made entirely of wood and how they're doing that. They look pretty cool. I would live in a wood building, not this concrete monstrosity that I currently reside in. All right, back to the chat. Why don't I rate movies on Letterboxd? I just don't like it. I don't like it. I don't if I rate a film 5 stars and I rate another film 5 stars, my instant thing is going to be, okay, if this film's 5 stars and this film's 5 stars, am I saying that they are both the same, like that they are both equal? And then I start thinking about, well, this one's actually a little bit worse, so does that mean it's still 5 stars, or is it now 4.5 stars? And then if I knock it down to 4.5 stars, then I start comparing it to all of the other films that are 4.5 stars, and I'm like, well, should I just start and it just turns into this like whole thing, and so I just avoid that by not rating anything. But if I ever give something a holy shit on Letterboxd, it means I think it's one of the best films ever made. So keep an eye out for that if you read my reviews. If you want non-Hindi Indian films, check out Sarat and Fandry from Nagraj Manjul, an amazing indie director. So wait, who do I search? How do I find this? How do I internet? Maybe I should do like Satyajit Ray and watch more of those films. Okay, I'm gonna watch list that one. I watched a silent Native American film Monday night called Daughter of Dawn on Canopy. It is very good. It had real narrative actors. Real native actors. That's cool. Daughter of Dawn, I feel like I've heard of that. I don't think I've seen it, but I think that predates Nanook of the North, actually. I think Nanook of the North was 22, right? So that's cool. Nanook of the North. Yeah, Nanook of the North was 22. I often tend to think of Nanook of the North as one of the first documentaries ever. At least one of the first ethnographic films, but maybe this one predated it and preceded it a little bit. Oh, it's a silent Western. It's not a documentary. Excuse me. Okay. It's funny, many UK films get treated basically the same as US films here in US, both in box office and awards, but few Canadian films do, despite being in English. Why do you think that is? Well, part of that is budget. There are a number of UK films that are made for a fairly substantial budget, or at least a decent enough budget, right? Like James Bond films technically are British films, right? So they get made for huge amounts of money. Even though like they're funded by, or used to be MGM, now I guess Amazon. So like funding is part of it. Like UK films tend to have those name brand actors, like the Hugh Grants and the, I don't know, other examples of British actors. Hugh Grant's the only one that comes to mind. But because of that, they do have that same sort of crossover sensibility. Whereas, like strictly speaking, Canadian films made by Canadians in Canada, they don't have that same sort of appeal, because a lot of our own like made in Canada movie stars have either moved to Hollywood and are Hollywood people now, like Ryan Reynolds and Ryan Gosling, and they don't make Canadian films anymore, and so the ones that stay are not really known to an American audience, and so they are not really capable of bringing American audiences out to the box office. They're barely able to bring Canadian audiences out to the box office. One of the most frustrating things about being a fan of Canadian cinema in Canada is how hard it is to watch made in Canada, funded by Canada, made by Canadians films. Seeing those films in theaters is nearly impossible. And we sort of have to hold out for things like the Canada Top 10 series that's going to be playing at TIFF this weekend. And they're going to be showing the top 10 Canadian films from last year as part of that series. But otherwise, seeing Canadian films in Canada at the theaters is like really difficult. And if TIFF didn't exist, it would be impossible. Like Cineplex Cineplex barely programs a Canadian film. They just don't do it. There's very little money in it for them. So it sucks. It sucks. Some of the other issues, though, when it comes to Canadian films crossing the border, is just like there isn't really an interest. A lot of Canadian films these days seem to be very much interested in the small town, in nostalgia and things like that. And you can find analogs for them in American cinema, like Sean Baker's films, like Red Rocket. I guess if you're going to watch like a movie about a small town in America, you're probably going to watch an American movie about an American small town, And so even when we have those kinds of like small town Canada indie films, they really only resonate with like a certain aspect of our own population, let alone an American population, because, Canada, for the most part, like a lot of our population is, in an urban space of some kind. I grew up in a couple of different small towns, so I still have a certain affection for that type of storytelling, but not everyone's going to do it. And then like also just budgets for films in Canada are very small. I think the highest budget Canadian film made in Canada by Canadians, and this is something that I have to keep saying over and over and over again, because films like X-Men movies will come and shoot in Montreal and they'll get Canadian tax credits, but they're not Canadian films. So I think the highest budget independent Canadian feature in history, I think its budget was like 20 or 25 million. That was a film called Passchendaele that was about Canada's role in World War One. 20 million bucks. That's nothing. That's one Everything Everywhere All at Once, right? So yeah. Oh, your dad just said he was proud of you. That's dope. Way to go. A Hero won Grand Prix at Cannes, which is like the second place award. True. Better Android film, After Yang or Megan? I mean, they're trying to do very different things, but After Yang is a better film, for sure. A side question, what Park Chan-wook films have you seen other than Decision to Leave, and what's your favorite Park movie so far? I've seen Decision to Leave, I've seen Old Boy, I've seen Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, I've seen Lady Vengeance. Have I seen any others? I have not seen The Handmaiden. I know that. I haven't seen Thirst. I think I saw... Did he do Stoker? Is Stoker one of his? Doesn't look like it. I do still want to see The Handmaiden, Thirst, and JSA. I don't really need to see a lot of his other stuff, I feel like, and it's also very hard to find. Joint security area, yeah. But yeah, I've seen a few of his films, and I guess my favorite of the four would be Old Boy. Although I really did like Lady Vengeance. It's good stuff. Your favorite Park Chan-wook film is Thirst? Nice. Also my favorite Song Kye-home film. Yeah, I need to see Thirst. It looks good. It looks sexy as well. What's up, Preston? Good to see you. Do you think To Leslie's situation will change or influence for your consideration campaigns? In the future, yeah, I think it definitely will. I don't know if it's going to replace the current for your consideration en masse, but I think for smaller films, it's certainly going to give them a better option than what is currently available. I have the same process as you, TJ, but I personally consider the stars to be tiers, so approach it like that, which allows ranking within a tier. Yeah, I know, and I do that when I make the tier lists, when I do the Patreon exclusive live stream. So maybe I just need to get out of my own ass and actually start doing it. But I've already been not doing it for so long. I don't want to start doing it again. And I also think that like saying holy shit for a film that I think is one of the best films of all time, I think that's more interesting than giving it 5, because there are some films that like I would just give a 5 to, right? Like The Shining, I'd give that a 5. But I don't know if I would give The Shining a holy shit, even though I think it is one of the best films of all time. And so I kind of like having this like ulterior way of ranking films that's more in line with just like how a film made me feel, as opposed to trying to think about how quote unquote good it is. I don't know. It's appealing to me and probably to nobody else. I watched The Song of the South and it was boring as hell. Okay, yeah, that's gonna happen sometimes. James Cameron is from Ontario, and that blows my mind, man. So many people are from Canada who make it big in Hollywood. Dan Aykroyd is Canadian. Jim Carrey is Canadian. Sarah Polley is Canadian. Who else is Canadian? There's so many. Ryan Gosling. Ryan Reynolds. Rachel McAdams, Canadian. The dude who directed GoldenEye and Crash, that dude is Canadian. Yeah, there's a lot of us. What is your favorite TIFF movie experience ever? At the festival itself, probably seeing the premiere of Assassination Nation as part of Midnight Madness, I think in 2017 or 2018. After the film was over, they had a full brass band walk down the aisles and play just like a song from the film. And the director was like so overwhelmed with the positive reception that he basically was like crying and couldn't like contain his excitement that everyone loved the film that he was working on for 4 years. It was one of the most wholesome TIFF moments that I've ever had. So that would probably be my favorite at TIFF experience. That sounds quite strange. It's hard for Canadians to watch Canadian films. So like the issue here is that Canada being so close and sharing the same language for the most part to America means that our media is dominated by American media. And so when it comes to Canadian sensibilities about what kind of movies they want to go see, inevitably they want to see stories and styles of storytelling that they're used to, which is the American style. And so typical Canadian, if they go to a theater and they're going to be throwing down $13, they are going to want to be throwing that $13 onto a superhero movie, onto a Marvel movie, onto a blockbuster, onto an American horror film, onto a Conjuring, onto that kind of stuff. They don't really have any experience or way of understanding or knowing what is going on in the Canadian film landscape, or even what a Canadian film is. And so it's not something that they demand or want. We are so oversaturated with American media in Canada that it's really, really hard, especially, and honestly almost only in the film space, for Canadian artists to break through with purely Canadian films. It's different in other segments, like in television and in music, because we have rules in Canada about, certain, about like say radio station needing to play a certain quota of Canadian content every hour, and television broadcasters also have similar quotas that apply to them, and we don't have that for films. We tried a couple of decades ago, and basically distributors came in and said, if you do, we will pull every single American film from your theaters. And that scared the theater owners so much. I think they lobbied the government and said, "Don't you fucking dare do this to us, because we cannot survive on Canadian films alone." And we had and we've always had very business friendly governments, and so they didn't have a backbone. They didn't want to stand up for Canadian artists, and so they said, "Fine." The profits of Paramount Theaters or Famous Players Theaters and Cineplex and Odeon, that's more important than Canadians having proper access to the art made by Canadians in this country. And I think, that's kind of the long and short in it. Denis Villeneuve, Canadian, another great idea. Another great example. That sounds quite... Oh, yeah. So wait, so why do many Canadian talents, Ryan Reynolds, Denis Villeneuve, simply move to LA while some British stars just stay in London? Well, I think in the case of the British stars, there is like enough money that can be made on British productions, right? On British productions. Like if like say you are an actor living in the UK, you want to stay working in the UK, you can always fly over to America and do a couple of different things, a couple of different movies, TV shows, whatever, and then fly back. But then also there's the possibility that you can get paid quite a bit of money to be on like a BBC television show, for example, because the BBC is very well funded and they can afford to pay people quite a bit. I think Benedict Cumberbatch was quite well compensated. For his work on Sherlock, which is a BBC program. Take a little drink. And so I think there are still a number of high-profile opportunities that exist in the UK that just don't exist in Canada with made in Canada productions. And yeah, I see you, Pratik, saying that I'm on the slippery slope to nationalism. I understand that. And I don't want to obviously come off as someone who is into nationalism, but I think that when we look all over the world at places like South Korea and Japan, those are film industries that are bright and vibrant and that are able to sustain both the distribution of American films and locally made films. And I'm just pissed that Canada has no interest in doing the same here. And, based on the films that I've seen, the Canadian films that come out every year, it's not on quality. It's just this overriding perception that Canadian films are less than. And I hate that. I hate that a lot. And so in order to fix that, I would much rather the government just like kick out American films for a while, have Canadian films be in Canadian cinemas, because the cinemas would still need to stay open, right? They would just be using different types of films, showing different films, and let Canadians see Canadian films, because they honestly, it's very difficult. As I said, it's very, very difficult. And then after a while, we can bring the American films back, but only a little bit of them. What was somebody asking me here? Best Canadian 2022 film: Rice Boy Sleeps or Falcon Lake? Falcon Lake in my mind. Like Falcon Lake was in my top 10. It might get knocked out by Babylon, but I think Falcon Lake is like a slightly better film than Rice Boy Sleeps. But Rice Boy Sleeps is also like super good. Super, super good. I love Old Boy 2, and yes, Thirst is a very sexy film. Hell yeah. Love me some sexy cinema. Dang, I hope Canadian cinema gets revived somehow soon. It won't. It won't. There's no way. Like, I don't know if you guys would have heard this, but a very interesting thing happened in the Canadian landscape like 2 weeks ago. It was announced that Cineplex, the biggest theater chain in Canada, has partnered with, I think it was Lionsgate, with Lionsgate Films as the distributor of Lionsgate films in Canada. Now that is a big change, because typically in Canada we have companies like Elevation Pictures and E1 and things like this. Those are the companies that do the Canadian distribution for companies like Neon and A24 and things like that, right? So in Canada, we do have distribution companies, and they are like Canadian-based distribution companies because this is a fairly large market, all things considered. But now Cineplex is saying, we don't want to work with distribution companies. We want to be the distribution company. And this doesn't happen because this turns into a problem potentially for competition. And the fact that this is happening, or this is being done by a monopoly, a company that owns a vast majority of all of the multiplex movie theaters in Canada, is concerning for competition, because now Cineplex is potentially getting into the business of picking winners, right? If they know that they're going to make more money by having the films that they directly are distributing playing on more screens in their theaters, then they are going to do that. Also, it means that it also means that they no longer need to share screen space with other smaller companies, like say a Landmark Cinemas in Canada or Rainbow Cinemas in Canada. And so now, if you want to go see, if you want to see Plane, for example, I think this was the first movie distributed in Canada in this way. If you want to see Plane, you can only see it in a Cineplex theater. So if you are in a town that doesn't have a Cineplex anywhere near you, but you do have like local theaters or different theater chains, well, guess what? You're shit out of luck. You're not going to be able to see Plane in theaters. And this is a problem. This is something that was a fairly prominent thing in Hollywood back in the 30s and 40s. The vertical integration of the film industry was quite common back then, until it was made illegal by the Paramount decision in like 1951. And now it seems like we are just gonna go back and do it again, or at least in Canada, try it for the first time, which is not something I'm super happy about. And honestly, Cineplex should be broken up. It's way too big of a company. South Korean films are some of my favorite non-English language films, TV shows too. Yeah, they're pretty good. Although we also have to admit that in North America, we're only really getting like the good stuff. I've seen some South Korean films that are dog shit, but those aren't the ones being directed by Park Chan-wook or Bong Joon-ho, Being able to be exposed to your own culture is important. Yeah, I agree. We need another Letterboxd Rose video. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. Right now I'm focusing on this new series because one of the videos really popped off last week. And if I can get a couple of more to pop off, all of a sudden I'm making minimum wage on YouTube, baby. So I'm focusing on those, trying to get a couple of more of those to go and see if I can actually earn a living off of this site after like trying for a year and a half, off and on, I'll say. Otherwise, I'm going to have to get a real job, which I'm not looking forward to. Why aren't bilingual novels more of a thing? I think because the amount of people who are actually bilingual is actually quite small. Like in Canada, even Canada, which is considered a bilingual country, unless you were born in Montreal or Ottawa, you're probably not bilingual. So yeah, I think that could be a bit of an issue. And also, congrats on 2,000 subs. Well, that's just not on me. That's on all you guys who kept showing up and kept watching the gosh dang videos. So thank you for 2,000 subs, but also I will take the congratulations myself. It's been kind of a whirlwind since that Puss in Boots video came out last week and has been performing like really well. Getting views and getting subs on this channel like never before. And it's pretty awesome. I'm going to say there is nothing like being a content creator for so long and seeing views go along like this, and then finally have a video that does one of these. There is nothing like that. There is no high quite like that. And yeah, it's great. It's great. Also, just as a heads up, there's not going to be a video tomorrow because I was doing some other channel related stuff today that I couldn't do a live stream today and make a video and do this other stuff. So I focused on the other stuff, which involved getting channel memberships ready. Still not available yet because apparently you need to get approved for those. It's not just like an instant on type thing. So no new video tomorrow, but there will be new videos for Thursday and Friday. They might be for more DreamWorks movies, because I'm going to see if maybe the 2 or 3 more videos I need to take off, if I can get them to relate directly to Puss in Boots 2, maybe that's the secret sauce. Maybe this channel just turns into like a DreamWorks animation discussion channel. Could you imagine? So yeah, keep an eye out on Friday and Saturday for new videos, but no new video tomorrow. In Korea, 3 biggest theater chains are all each owned by 3 biggest studio distributors. So basically, studios give all the screens to this one movie they're pushing that season. Yeah, I hate that. I hate that a lot. If you come to Montreal, we also have Cinemateq and Cinema du Moderne, smaller indie multiplex, which is great for mainstream as well as low-budget films. I love that. And in Toronto, we have the TIFF Bell Lightbox, which is basically, that's all they do, which is sick. Looks like the same thing, but worse is going to happen in Canada now. But it's different, right? Because there's only one big theater chain. Like Landmark Cinemas, which I think is the next largest theater chain in Canada, they do not have the operational budget to like get into a distribution agreement with a movie studio that will matter. It's it's bad. True that there are some truly terrible Korean films, and there are a lot of Koreans saying, why is Korean cinema so poor while American cinema is so full of masterpieces? Like, exact opposite of here. Man, you go to any country, they're going to have their highs and their lows. There are bad Japanese films and some Japanese films which are considered the greatest films ever made, right? Same thing in Canada. Like, even we have our masterpieces and our total duds. TJ, what score do you give the Blue Jays for their off-season roster moves? Ask me in 6 months. From the looks of it, we are going to probably offensively be about the same. Our defense is going to be better, and our pitching should be better. So from that standpoint, I would say it's about a B to a B minus. And I expect us to be a little bit more competitive this year. However, I think we are going to be in real tough once again because we are in the same division as the Yankees and as the Orioles and the Rays. I think the Red Sox are kind of rebuilding this year, so I'm not really worried about them. But it's going to be a tough march to the playoffs. And, it really is all going to come down to, can the team stay healthy over the long term? Also, the Skydome is being refurbished right now, so it's going to have different dimensions. And that's one of the reasons why I think the offense is going to stay the same, even though we've taken some home runs out of the lineup, because the fences are going to be brought in a little bit. So we're going to be hitting more home runs. The opposition's also going to be hitting more home runs, but hey, that's what our better defense is for, right? And our better pitching is for. So we'll see. I had no idea that Seth Rogen was Canadian. Oh yeah, he is. And Gabriel LaBelle is Canadian too. That they were both Vancouver natives on Fabelmans. Yeah. I'll start your rabbit hole video making journey. DreamWorks movies ranked. Shrek movies ranked. Best Shrek is Love, Shrek is Life memes compilation. Oh my god. I already hate this decision. All right, everyone. I'm gonna kick off. I'm gonna go watch some wrestling. So I hope you all have a great Wednesday night. Hope you see some great movies this weekend. Please fill out the nomination ballot for the Cinemateq Film Awards below if you haven't already, and join the Discord if you haven't already. Thank you to Cord Cutter Cam for subscribing during the live stream. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll see you on future live streams. And with that, I will bid you all a very kind adieu. See you later.
Get off my plane.
He's looking at you, kid.
I have been, and always shall be, your friend.
The Force will be with you, always.
In case I don't see ya. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Hasta la vista, baby.